Hello everybody and welcome back to Airway Sim. Um, Today we're going to be continuing our game of anime airlines here in Japan. Things are going pretty well. Our fuel hedge we made last episode is actually not looking very well. As you can see, the projected prices are now down where the projected prices were up. At the end of the day, the fuel price being at only 360 USD. With my hedge price at 277 USD means even if the fuel price does go down well below my hedge value, it's not actually a very big deal because I'm not losing a lot of money. The fuel price is already quite low as a factor of my expenses right now. If we take a look at our operating expenses here as a pie chart, we can see that fuel is only 16%. I mean, at a typical fuel price, even with relatively inefficient jets like 747s, you'd expect this to be about 25%. Japan is a relatively rich country, so staff salaries are eventually going to become one of the largest costs. Right now, aircraft leases, as you can see, are the biggest costs, but obviously this is just a result of having no owned aircraft, which is of course something every single new company is going to have to deal with. Now, on the other side of things, I have a massive amount of aircraft ready to be used and ready to schedule some brand new awesome routes. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, the demand for routes in general is skyrocketing, actually faster than players are able to take such said demand right now. The reason being is game worlds, when they're new, have extremely lower demand compared to the actual value, which the demand is kind of intended for that year, just so that new companies don't have a seemingly infinite pool of demand to expand into, and it feels kind of more finite. That's kind of the goal of having lower demand at the beginning, and then it grows rapidly as companies are expected to be able to fill said demand after shorter, relatively short amounts of time. But I feel like this system for demand in general has a couple flaws. The biggest one is that in general there's never enough cargo aircraft to match cargo demand growth. It would be extremely nice if at the beginning of most game worlds it allowed higher proportions of cargo aircraft on the used aircraft market, just to stimulate competition in the cargo sector. As you can see here, I'm flying 747s with only competitions from MD-11s, which means the competition is actually fine. A lot of people don't know that MD-11s have some of the highest maintenance costs for any aircraft of that size. I think it's even higher than a 747. I don't know if this is realistic or not, but with the complex third engine of this style of aircraft, I wouldn't be surprised if that is in fact a realistic thing for aircrafts like the tri-jets to have very high costs. I'm not sure. Maybe it's completely bullshit, and a 747 should have much higher costs. But I wouldn't know. I'm not an expert whatsoever on like aircraft operations or anything like that. Just mostly for games, I have a pretty decent idea. So here again, let's go ahead and open Indianapolis. As you can see, I already have a route, but I can probably pull the rest of the demand over by opening another one, or at least very quickly a lot of the demand will move in to kind of or it'll just grow. As you can see, I want to take off as late as possible. And the takeoff slots that are late in the day are quite valuable. As you can see, if we go to the 22s, there's not a lot of time with slots available. So 21 o'clock slots are going to be the next ones to go, and the later in the hour, I think the more valuable the slots are. So I kind of want to preserve them. Try not to use too many. One kind of nice thing about flying the 747 is 747 is a really fast plane. Let's see if I can find like an information about my 747s. Yeah, I'll see if I can find that in a second. I believe it's Mach 0.85 or 0.84, which is one of the fastest aircrafts out there. I think the only aircrafts which are similarly fast are A350s. And what being so fast means is actually that, sorry, my brain, I had like a brain freeze. But what being so fast means, if I ever replace the schedule, the airplane will take longer to fly. So that means on like routes like this, where I land at 6 o'clock, I'll actually land slightly after 6 o'clock, which is a good thing. If you're going from a slow plane to a fast plane, you'll find that this is really frustrating, because you'll start landing at like 6 or 5:55, which is, you know, earlier than the curfew allows for Narita, and you're going to end up with all sorts of headaches trying to make sure that your planes don't like land too early, adjusting timing and stuff like that, which is kind of a no fun thing to have to kind of deal with. I think we can see here is a lot of these routes, like Albuquerque, which don't have enough demand for a 747. I mean, where is he stopping so that he gets only 60,000 kilograms of cargo with an MD-11? I think he's trying to fly it directly, but you know, that's just a terrible idea. It's painful to look at. I mean, I'm eventually going to compete with these routes, maybe with 767-300's a good middle sized aircraft. I have not decided yet, guys, if my goal for this kind of world is to fly really good 777 aircraft along with 767s and use 757s as my smallest available fleet. This will kind of lock out the domestic markets for me, as the 757 is just vastly outperformed by A320. So I mean, the fuel burn is eventually basically half, and like A321 Neo, it uses probably just over half the fuel of a 757-200, which is, you know, a remarkable achievement from Boeing, or Airbus and Boeing, you know, because I mean the Max and Airbus are very comparable in this game. So like, I won't be very competitive in the domestic market. I won't be completely uncompetitive though. So yeah, that's kind of just something to keep in mind. Let me see if I can find a good route I can fly directly. I think a good option would be Tehran in Iran. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. You can't quite fly it directly, but we should be able to fly it with a stop somewhere. And this is interesting because I've never looked at where a plane needs to stop from Japan to Iran, so I can show you what I use to use it. I mean, like, I'm not like an expert in this, but I simply go to SkyVector. A lot of people use other sites, but I like the visual aspect of SkyVector. So literally all I do is, you know, I select where I want to go and I select where I want to be, which in this case is Iran, and then just take a look at what airports are kind of around the right place. So Urumqi is, you know, a good option. I could stop in like Shenyang or like any of these places that are kind of close to this line. Obviously you don't want to deviate very far from the line because it's a complete waste. So let's go ahead and open this route and see if I don't know how to spell it. Yeah, it has a curfew. Let's hope we don't run into this curfew. And yeah, as you can see, there's really good cargo demand here. So that should be very good for us. And we need to take off at 1710. So let's go ahead and open this route, 1710. With indeed 747-400. I think something I didn't really consider when I started this world is flying 747s instead of 777s for the rest of this game. The reason being is I really want to see how much money intercontinental Boeings can make. They're such beautiful aircraft. Nobody flies them because they're generally seen as weak aircraft for very understandable reasons. They're highly fuel consuming. They're highly fuel consuming. They're not very efficient, but if you manage to fly a full payload, they are actually not terribly efficient, not terribly inefficient. So like that's kind of interesting, right? Because Port Columbus is probably a better route here. It's like, I mean, the efficiency is not great, but it's good. Per kilogram, the efficiency is not bad at all. It's not as good as a 777F, but it has the advantage of having just a remarkable payload. The reason why this normally isn't an important factor in Airway Sim is most planes almost never fly at 100% load factor, but if we can do enough damage, or if our competitors end up dead, for whatever reasons throughout this world, I can see that flying full 747s would be a really simple way to make a lot of money, and they wouldn't make as much money as 777s, that is for sure, but how awesome would it be to be flying intercontinentals and flying Boeings for the rest of this game? I think, or Boeing 747s, it's not something many people ever do. It's kind of seen as an ideal play, and it is an ideal play. It's basically putting a nerve on yourself. You can just, even without serious competition, you're kind of immediately putting yourself at a disadvantage in the fact that the maximum profit margins you could be achieving are lower than for somebody who isn't flying kind of these nerfed fleet types. But like, how awesome would it be to succeed? You know what I'm saying? Like, you get to fly a classic fleet type, which in real life won't exist in 2030. In terms of, like, you won't be able to order them. I'm sure there'll be plenty of converted freighters at that point. The 747 is just such a good plane for freight. As you guys may or may not know, in real life, the front of the nose of the Boeing 747s can open, which results in, you know, kind of easy cargo loading. It's, for such a large volume of containment, it's quite easy, whereas say a plane like the A380 would never be suitable for cargo. Because the volume is actually too great. The volume is a lot bigger than kind of the plane can handle. Like, if you filled up all that volume of an A380, it would be too heavy to take off anyway. So that's no good. And in addition, how do you load the second deck? You need to really modify the fuselage, which it's not made to do, or you'd have to load through the passenger doors, which limits, you know, the efficiency of loading and unloading to a point where I don't think it'd be worth it for most airlines to do so. Let's see if we can fit the maintenance here. I think we can. Just I hate it when I have to enter minutes, because it's kind of frustrating. So let's go ahead and place that there, and perfect. It fits perfectly. This is going to be one of the few schedules I can make with 5 flights a week. This is going to be a rarity in the future. But yeah, it's perfect because we can go ahead and add all these flights in. Now, there is kind of one unfortunate thing here, is that if I were to upgrade to 777Fs, I would have to manually go and remove all the tech stops for closer flights like Iran, or, you know, the west coast of the United States. These are just routes which don't need to be tech stopped for the 777 freighter. But I'm not gonna have time to do that. Like, removing tech stops is a really time-consuming process. You got to do it one route at a time, and by that time, I'm assuming I'm gonna have thousands and thousands of routes, which simply means those routes will be tech stopped forever. This kind of makes it so that I think another option would just simply to be fly the A330F. It has a disadvantage where I have to wait all the way till 2009 before I can fly it, which is a pretty bad, like, restriction. I believe the 777 freighter comes out in 2006, which is a big upgrade to 2009, because the time to market in this game is one of the most underrated aspects. I mean, I could. The more efficient plan here would be to fly 767s. I could fly these planes on more routes because it's smaller. It's more suitable to every route, and the efficiency is not so much worse than like a 747F. It is actually quite significantly worse than a 777F. But once again, that's only assuming the 777F does not come under competition from other aircraft. So yeah, with that in mind, kind of, it's like what do you prioritize here? Do you prioritize time to market with planes that are available, like 747s, which I'm doing now, or do you prioritize immediate profits, getting to the market fast, using old aircraft? Wait, I already said that twice. Sorry, my brain is fried right now. Or do you prioritize what is it? What am I trying to say? Efficiency. If you go for the most efficient planes, they're the most contested. So A320s, 757s, which are the most efficient, medium, large-sized. In this game, it's called large. In real life, I'd call it a medium-sized aircraft. But in this game, it's classified as large, the 757, whereas 767s and above kind of size aircraft are classified as very large, which kind of increases their costs. And yeah, if you were to ask me, basically, I don't really value the efficiency that much. I'd rather get to the market faster with less efficient aircraft. I believe in general, this is going to be better for most airlines. Yeah, I'm going to set up another 7-day schedule for these 747-400s. They're quite rare to find them on the market, but I'm starting to receive them at a decent rate from new orders. If we go ahead here, look at our production slots, we are one of just a few companies ordering these aircraft. As you can see, we get a decent one a month, sometimes 2 a month. So 1.2 planes a month, 12 a year, 12, 13, maybe 14 in a year. That's a decent delivery rate. I really wish on empty production lines like these ones, it gave you higher, like with a low amount of unique orders for these aircraft. This should increase the density you get. This would kind of encourage players to use different fleet types, which aren't all the same. If I go ahead and look at traditionally, I'm not sure if it is in this world, a traditionally very crowded production line in the A320. Usually this is the most crowded production line in the entire game because it's probably the best plane in the entire game. If we take a look at single company's deliveries, this is a ideal example. These canceled orders was likely all the same airline delivery slots, and look at how frequent they are. If I go ahead and order A320s right now and negotiate to buy and lease, let's say 50. I can't afford 50, but I kind of order like 30. Let's say. Let's just select some defaults here, and we take a look at the production dates. Look at them. They're so frequent. I'm getting like 3 a month, 2 or 3 a month initially, and then we go down the production line a little bit, and like 3 a month. Even though this is one of the most crowded production lines, I would only be able to receive delivery of like 25% less of these aircraft than an almost empty production line in 747s. So it's kind of like, in a lot of these situations, maybe the increased delivery slots would be able to outweigh the extreme efficiency of something like an A321. I might choose to use something like a Tupolev or something like that instead, but it's never worth it. Even as a challenge, it feels too challenging for it to be worth it. I know a lot of good players in this game challenge themselves to not use the traditional fleets: 737, A320, 757. The long-haul fleets are even more restricting because the longest range you can get from a Russian aircraft or a non-Boeing, Airbus, McDonnell Douglas aircraft is 6,500 nautical miles. That's the longest range you get. And that's a good range, but it's nothing in comparison to the extreme ranges you can get out of Boeing and Airbus aircraft, and why this comes into play is 6,500 nautical miles on a map is just immense. Let me see if I can find a map for you guys to show you guys just how far that is. If we take a look at a 6,500 nautical mile range, this is 6,600, so very similar. Range payload graph, it looks like it's the entire world, but it's not quite because of two factors: wind and payload. If I'm flying to the end of my payload, say in Georgia or Miami, which, you know, these would be decent routes, you know, the Caribbean, from Tokyo, I wouldn't be able to carry any belly cargo, and belly cargo is a very important factor in the profitability of long-haul passenger flights. In fact, that ideally we'd want to see something in like a couple thousand nautical miles, maybe 1,000 nautical miles farther than the range, so you're almost guaranteed to get a maximum cargo payload. In fact, I usually always order the maximum takeoff weight for almost every single aircraft type I get, just because of the rare situations where you actually need the payload. If I was flying to Madrid, if the wind wasn't right, which it might not be, I might not even get a full passenger load, which is just never worth it. Which is why long-range aircraft are very, very important, and specifically much longer range than the route even suggests. Gotta get a drink of water here. Yeah, for somebody who doesn't usually talk too much, by talking a lot in these videos, you know, my throat does get pretty dry. Okay, the amount of demand I see for cargo is just insane. Buffalo. I don't know the population of Buffalo, guys, but I can't imagine it's too high. Let's take a look. 1 million people. And the cargo demand is just unbelievably through the roof. 100,000 kilograms. I mean, this is kind of why I want to fly the intercontinental Boeings, because how nice would it be to be able to fly a single aircraft to capture all 130,000 kilograms of demand. In fact, I believe the higher MTOW variant of the 747-800 freighter has something like a ridiculous 140,000 kilograms of payload. Oh, okay. I was looking at why is it limited to 80,000 kilograms of payload? And then I realized I was looking at it the wrong way. Yeah, so we need 2 hours additional turnaround time. So we need to add 120 minutes. So we need 300 minutes of turnaround time. Here we go, and we need to make sure our cargo spacing is correct. Like, I think the ideal situation is for every flight you have like this, you have another flight like this. But I simply don't take that into account most of the time. At the end of the day, the 20-40-40 is close enough so that you don't have to worry about being too far off. Yeah, it's not a big deal. If you're ever 20-40-40 and you're thinking, hey, it doesn't quite match the demand perfectly, if you're an airline who really, really cares about your margins, you might want to change it to 25, 45, 35 or something like that. That's obviously 105% what I just listed, but like some combination of percentages which works better to fill your demand. I know for certain airports it's different, like you might have a much lower level of heavy cargo demand. But yeah, in general, most of the airports I fly to are primary cargo hubs, which have these really balanced demand bars, which are really nice. As you can see, for the first time scrolling through these routes, there's a decent number of routes here which cannot support a 747 flight. But if you look at the proportion of routes which can support a 747 flight, it is still quite extreme. Like Norfolk, I don't know how big Norfolk is, but I can't imagine it's very large either. I know it's a cargo hub in real life, but yeah, 2 million people, 150,000 kilograms of demand. Tucson, oh, we just opened that route. I don't know, like, how big Tucson is either, but it has a good amount of demand. Yes, let's go ahead and kind of scroll through these. For the first time, I'm seeing kind of dud routes where I would need a smaller plane. Okay, here's another great one. General R. Ford can I tell you anything about this place in real life? No, I don't even know what city it's in. I'm kind of curious. Let's see if I can figure out from the map what city it is. Well, that's just a cluster in between Detroit and Chicago, I guess. But yeah, we should be able to pull demand to. Ooh, wait, what's going on here? Was it gonna open Cleveland? I didn't open Cleveland. What just happened? What just happened, guys? I'm kind of curious now. Does Cleveland still have demand? I gotta go look. Yeah, I don't want to miss anything here. Yeah. Oh, it does. It does. Okay. I don't want to miss anything here because I kind of want to go in a nice order. Is El Paso a more suitable distance? I'm thinking if I can attempt to get another 6-flight week or 5-flight week, but that would require me to find a 4,000-ish nautical mile destination or shorter. So let's see if we can do that actually. So our goal is to find a country that's relatively close that can give good cargo demand. I think an idea is Turkey, but I don't believe Turkey numbers are nearly high enough. Yeah, not nearly high enough. So what can I use? Russia? I haven't checked Russia. Wait, why is it giving me? Oh, okay. If I do Russia, I need to select the whole world so that I get the European cities in there too. No, Russia. There it is. Okay. Wow, that's kind of disappointing. There's only a few airports, but like St. Petersburg, ooh, the demand is actually pretty good. What about Moscow? Yeah, the problem with Moscow is it's divided among all 3 of the airports, the demand. By the way, these are great routes for my combi aircraft because I'll be able to scoop up a good amount of the demand for both passengers and cargo. Quite interesting. Why does Moscow have 3 airports? It's not even a city with a lot of demand. Maybe somebody knows the history behind that. You could tell me. That'd be kind of interesting. But yeah, Russia doesn't have the demand. Like what else? What else in the world is close? Maybe I'll do this. It's under 4,300 in the whole world, in any country. And we can take a look at some of the options we have here. Seattle? That's good cargo demand, actually. That's good cargo demand. I could fly there directly with no stop. And just, you know, fly reduced demands to get an additional flight in. That would be an option. Singapore, I believe it would have so much belly cargo that even if it has good cargo demand, yeah, it's completely saturated. Like 100,000 kilograms is good cargo demand, but the belly demand kind of just overwrites it completely. Kuala Lumpur, yeah, not even close. I've already checked India, most of India, because that was one of my like initial suspects for places where I'd be able to find good demand. A little bit curious about Seoul. Only 20,000 kilograms. That is definitely not a route which we can fly. So what do we have? We can't. I'm sure Bangkok has very little cargo. But Uzbekistan, Tashkent, and okay, well that is definitely not a cargo hub. Pretty good passenger demand though. Kabul, I can't imagine. I'm trying to figure out what country Kabul is in, but I actually have no idea. I'm sorry guys for you guys in the Middle East. I'm not very knowledgeable. Colombo? I believe that's Sri Lanka. I'm not sure though, once again. Don't quote me. Alright, so there's no cargo demand. That's a bit of a problem. Okay, it seems that the best chance we would have is some American city. Honolulu actually has fantastic demand, which is kind of interesting, but it's once again completely saturated by the belly cargo market. Whoever made this cargo flight, I mean, shame on you for not making it mostly heavy cargo. But I'm in Vancouver. Vancouver's got good cargo demand. Just it's being very served. I'm guessing everybody has the same problem as me, where it's 4 flights a week. But honestly, I think I'd rather have 4 flights a week than some terrible schedule. With some terrible flights, which won't even make money if, you know, the size of the aircraft is changed, or like, you probably won't even make money no matter what I do, to be honest. So instead of that, let's try and just fly our good old Boeings, you know, wherever we can find demand to, and just ignore the fact that we're gonna have only, you know, 15 hours of flight time or something per day. Like, the ideal amount for long haul flights is you want about 18 plus hours of flight time a day, but obviously if that's not possible, then it's not possible, so you can't fly anymore. Let me see if it's through the use of no stops, if it's possible. I mean, like, what's a single stop on a 747 takes 3 hours, which is obviously terrible for scheduling. So if we could reduce the number of tech stops we make, we should be able to increase our flights per week, potentially by 1, which would be absolutely enormous. Now, in order to do that, we have to find a demand pool at a range of flight which we don't need to stop at. Now, note that these planes I'm using are ERFs, Boeing 747 ERFs, which have kind of the highest range for 747s. Yeah, like, you won't get the same result with Dash 400Fs. You need the ERFs, you know, extended range. Missoula. Why is Missoula so close? Oh, it's not Missouri. For some reason, I thought Missoula would be in Missouri. I was like, Missouri is a lot farther than that from Tokyo. Yeah, I'm just searching for routes here, and as you can see, there's actually not too many big demand pools left at closer ranges, unfortunately. So it looks like we're just gonna have to go straight for longer ranges after this. Yeah, I can't seem to find any demand at a closer range, so we're just gonna have to settle with 4 flights a week, unfortunately. I mean, I don't remember what routes I've checked to, so I'm clicking the same routes over and over again. I'm sorry for anybody with a good memory, and it's just like, oh my gosh, why are you clicking these flights again? You already checked those. But I mean, I don't remember, so I just click them again. One thing I normally do off camera is I open hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of route tabs, and then close the ones which have no demand, so then I can kind of go ahead and make those routes one by one. I'm not doing that today, simply because I think a lot of people will get annoyed at the number of tabs open. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that bothers you, but I know it definitely bothers me having so many tabs open. It's just kind of a part I've accepted of playing this game. Yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and just start opening these routes. Yeah, once again, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get as many routes as we want in. Yeah, hopefully in the future, like, Indian demand grows, Indonesian demand grows, and, you know, other, like, medium kind of wealth. I guess in real life you'd probably call them second world countries. I don't know if that's an accurate description, but, like, not quite, you know, like your Canada's, your US's, or your Germany's or Japan's for wealth, but, like, not quite as bad as, like, some really unfortunate countries, but, like, you know, the middle tier countries, as you might want to say. I'm not sure how I should say it politically correctly, but yeah, we need one more route, maybe 2. Let's see. Once again, you know, if I could find any flights which fits, I'd definitely go for them, but they just don't fit. I know there's a route above here which looked perfectly great, but I just want to check, you know. You know, we can open Little Rock. It's a decent little route, so let's go ahead and open that. once again, these episodes are really long, but you know, I'm kind of just chilling, you know, having a good time opening these routes. I actually didn't eat such a salty dinner. Yeah, this guy's why you shouldn't eat so much salt, because you'll end up drinking a ton of water to try and feel good afterwards. But unfortunately, I'm kind of addicted to my salty meals. Hey, why is the range limited? Oh, the range is limited because I didn't stop. Interesting. I mean, that's almost a full payload without a stop, but I'm gonna stop for the following reasons. If I ever change these aircraft, there's a higher likelihood I'm gonna be changing to A330s or 747-8s, which don't have very good range. They have a very good payload, but not a very good range. And because these are the planes I'm most likely to eventually change to, I don't really want to have to reschedule them. Oh shoot, I didn't see the message and I clicked X. That's a frustrating one, guys. That's a frustrating one. Yeah, I kind of hate it when that happens. I guess we should go ahead and open Cleveland because I think I forgot to open that route. No, I remembered. Huh. And I didn't stop, it looks like. Yeah, it looks like I didn't make a tech stop here. Oh no. If I make a tech stop here, then the next route won't fit. You know what? Oh my god, that's so annoying, guys. That is so annoying. Why'd I have to do this to myself? Okay, whatever. It's one route, misdone. I hate redoing routes, so we just won't do that. Darn it. Like that's all I can say. I really didn't want to do that. I hate remaking routes. It's a lot of work to redo them. I guess I'll just try and make sure this particular 7-day schedule gets scheduled into a plane with longer range. If I end up going A330s, then I'll just have to accept that route will be slightly mismatched. Let's go ahead and open our little rocket route again. I have no idea what went wrong. Did I misclick? Did I select something wrong? I have no idea. So let's go ahead and open PAFA. Maybe it was curfews. I have no darn idea. 9, 10. Did I like reach slot capacity limit or something like that? Oh, are you kidding me? Alright, well that's a wrap to this episode. When this happens, all you can do is you can stop playing. I don't know why this slot restriction exists. That's because the airport just upgraded. You know, okay, now people have a chance to get their slots or whatever, but the slots weren't constricted in the first place. Let's take a look at like Narita's slot map. It's perfectly fine if I can find the damn button. Yeah, as you can see, I'm pretty unhappy about the slot restrictions. Airport slots. Here we go. Look at this. I think the airport literally just upgraded because, you know, like if you notice at the beginning of this episode, there weren't a lot of slots at 9 p.m. and all of a sudden there's a bunch of slots, or at 9 a.m. There's a bunch of slots at 9 a.m. Oh my god. Alright, well, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.